The year is 2099, and let me tell you, trying to hit the snooze button at Lunar Outpost Delta is a literal life or death situation. You have just woken up on the moon. The alarm on your federally mandated biomonitor screaming that your oxygen subscription is about to auto-renew at a surge pricing rate. I aggressively swing my arm to smash the alarm, violently misjudge the 1/6 gravity, and accidentally launch my entire physical body out of my sleep pod like an unguided missile. My face collides with the titanium bulkhead, my nose bleeds, but the drops do not fall to the floor. No, they just float there in midair in slow motion, forming these perfect, bobbing red spheres of Monday morning regret. Welcome to the glorious lunar frontier. The recruitment ads back on Earth promised us a sleek sci-fi utopia filled with glass domes and zero-gravity yoga. What they conveniently left out of the glossy brochure is that absolutely everything up here smells exactly like heavily burnt gunpowder. That distinct, horrible smell is the lunar regolith. It is not soft, romantic beach sand. It is microscopic, razor-sharp shattered glass born from billions of years of violent meteorite impacts, and it clings to absolutely everything in existence via pure static electricity. It is in my pressurized suit, it is permanently clogging my air scrubbers, and right now, it is grinding between my molars like a premium gravel sandwich. I stumble into the kitchenette area of my tiny fiberglass prison to make a desperately needed cup of coffee, because water boils at absurdly low temperatures when the colony's cheap pressure systems fluctuate. My discount espresso machine is essentially an unpredictable improvised explosive device. I press the blinking green button, and instead of a steady pour, the boiling liquid shoots out in a chaotic, steaming, floating amoeba of caffeinated doom. I literally have to physically chase my morning brew through the cabin air like a deranged, sleep-deprived Pac-Man just to catch a single, scalding sip. If I miss, the boiling coffee blob splatters against the freezing viewport window, instantly crystallizing into a depressing brown sludge stalactite. I stare out that reinforced quartz window. The view outside is supposed to be majestically inspiring, a vast expanse of untouched gray plains. Instead, my view is completely blocked by my neighbor, Gary. Gary is outside in his bulky extravehicular activity suit, trying to walk his genetically modified robotic dog. He looks exactly like an overstuffed, depressed marshmallow moving in agonizing slow motion. The robotic dog, which cost him 4 years of hazard pay and his left kidney, is violently glitching because a single, microscopic grain of lunar dust got wedged into its hind leg servo. I watch Gary try to bend over to fix the poor robotic creature. He cannot. The highly pressurized suit turns his entire body into a completely rigid, unbending balloon animal. He is trapped in his own clothes. He just sort of tips forward like a freshly cut timber, bouncing exactly twice on the gray dirt before lying there, completely immobile, staring helplessly into the infinite black abyss of the cosmos. I would love to go outside and help him, but stepping out the airlock means dealing with the terrifying lunar temperature commute. You see, the moon does not have a cozy atmosphere to distribute heat, turning stepping outside into a deadly game of space roulette. If you stand directly in the sunlight, it is a blistering lethal 250 degrees Fahrenheit, the kind of aggressive heat that would instantly turn a frozen turkey into a screaming fireball. But if you take exactly one step to the left into the pitch black shadow of a crater, it is suddenly negative 208 degrees. I once witnessed a cocky Earth tourist step half into the shade to snap a viral selfie for his followers. His left arm froze so rapidly it shattered his expensive smartwatch into literal dust in seconds, while his right shoulder was visibly sweating through his ultra-thermal base layer. It is a complete thermal nightmare out there. I leave Gary to his inevitable fate. The automated rover patrol will scoop him up eventually with a giant metal spatula and start getting dressed for my soul-crushing shift, which is entirely about surviving. I painfully zip up my mandatory inner compression layer. This is a torturous full-body tourniquet designed specifically to squeeze my veins so my lazy heart actually remembers how to pump blood. Without this painfully tight suit, my calf muscles would atrophy so fast, I would literally be walking on two fleshy toothpicks by Tuesday afternoon. I grab my scuffed polycarbonate helmet, check my seals, and head out to the magnetic levitation train that connects Sector 4 to the massive helium-3 mining rigs. The maglev train is packed wall to wall with other miserable corporate space drones. We are all crammed together, swaying awkwardly in the low gravity like a profoundly depressing field of underwater kelp. The guy standing right next to me is enthusiastically eating a heavily processed, highly unregulated, rehydrated breakfast burrito in 0G. Every single time he takes a bite, crumbly bits of freeze, dried fake eggs float out of the tortilla, drifting lazily toward my face in slow motion. I spend the entire 20-minute commute desperately swatting away rogue pieces of imitation sausage like they are slow, moving breakfast-flavored space flies. We finally arrive at the mining facility, which is a brutalist concrete nightmare intentionally buried deep inside the rim of the Shackleton crater just to protect our fragile DNA from getting completely microwaved by unpredictable bursts of raw solar radiation. You want to know my highly prestigious, glamorous space job title here? I am an advanced regolith mitigation specialist, which is just a desperately fancy corporate title for a glorified space janitor who sweeps highly radioactive dirt for 12 punishingly long hours every single day. My shift supervisor aggressively hands me a heavy-duty hyper vacuum. Section B is contaminated again. Clean it up. He barks. I let out a massive sigh. Section B is literally always contaminated because the genius engineers back in Houston insist on using standard Earth-grade duct tape to seal the auxiliary airlocks. Fun fact about space that they absolutely do not teach you in school: duct tape immediately loses its adhesive will to live the second it touches a pure vacuum. As I start vigorously vacuuming the massive airlock doors, the station's terrifying warning klaxon suddenly blares out. It is a micrometeorite alarm. Everyone in the sector instantly drops whatever they are holding and dives completely flat onto the cold metal floor, down on Earth. A shooting star is a beautiful, romantic sight up here in the endless void. It is an invisible bullet. It is a microscopic rock traveling at 45,000 miles per h-hour that wants nothing more than to punch a perfectly round hole straight through your skull. Thump! A massive vibration shakes the floorboards. The tiny killer hits Sector 7. Well, Sector 7 is not our problem today. We peel ourselves off the floor and go back to sweeping dirt. By the time my shift ends, I am instantly blinded by the sun. A single day on the moon lasts for 2 entire Earth weeks, 2 uninterrupted weeks of relentless sunlight blasting through your viewport, followed by 2 weeks of freezing darkness. We are all walking, severely sleep-deprived zombies. I finally make it back to my pod. Earth is a massive, swirling marble of blue and white, hanging bright against the void. Well, I say to my empty room, send pizza.